Hey everyone, welcome to today's edition of One Single Story, where each weekday we offer a brief lesson from a section of today's reading, then we examine a single relevant question that passage points us to. Today I'm joined by Chris Rexroad, and we're looking at a passage in Leviticus 19. When you see the phrase, I am the Lord your God, it marks kind of the end of a paragraph, so this gives us a little bit of structure that makes it easy to follow. And so it covers a wide variety of areas of your daily life. It covers such a variety of subjects that it indicates that God, all matters in your life, God is interested in, and they are subject or were subject to the law. So here's some things that are covered. Theft in verse 19, verse 11, lying and false witness in verse 12, cheating in financial dealings in verse 13, all kinds of interpersonal sins and bullying actions, such as talking negatively of the deaf while smiling in their face. Verse 14, hating your brother in your heart, indicating that there would be hypocrisy to his face. Verse 17, there's many others. So there's this emphasis on what we are on the inside and what we appear to be on the outside. There's also this emphasis, though, of personal conduct in the home and in public conduct in the community. And this repeated refrain, I am the Lord your God, is not only a paragraph marker, it's also there to recall the theme of Leviticus, which is, for I am the Lord your God, you must consecrate yourselves and be holy because I am holy. Every area of conduct in our daily life is based on the fact that God is holy and God's people should be reflecting his holiness in everyday life. So, Chris, we live in a different time, right? But many of the things listed in this chapter we still see today.
Mm-hmm.
How do our everyday actions reflect the identity of God as a holy God?
It's really a reflection of our personal and spiritual integrity. I mean, if we're going to say that we're believers in God, you should believe in what he is and who he is. But there is a difference between being a believer and being something, and that something that we're called to be is children of God, which means that we should reflect who our Father is, even if that means that we have to give up certain things or start doing certain things, that it's that we're supposed to be reflecting him and his character.
So there are some things he talks about. Bullying would be one of them. So some of the actions of modern day bullying are mentioned here in this text. Don't make workers wait on their money. Don't insult the deaf or make the blind stumble. Don't stand idle if your neighbor is threatened. What do these things have to do with holiness?
I mean, it's definitely a reflection of your heart. And I mean, like the one there says, to make fun of the deaf. Well, they can't hear what you're saying, but then to smile on their face is making them feel like everything's okay. But, it's, I don't know. To me, I just see it like it's like a cancerous heart, that just, it's a terrible reflection of our relationship with God. But it has more to do with us, whether we're trying to get ahead by cutting somebody else down, or we're just trying to be dominating or something like that. It's just a poor reflection of our heart.
Which ones of these things do you think is more common that you would see today?
With bullying or any of these?
Bullying.
Oh, social media. Yeah, social media. You don't hear as much of it today, but I'm sure it's still there. But I mean, we were dealing with significant suicides, especially with teenagers and stuff, because they'd be getting bullied on Facebook. And I mean, it's one thing like back when we were growing up in school, they could only bully you when you were there.
Mm-hmm.
They might make fun of you and with some friends in the background, like after school or something, but now you're constantly, I mean, if they can get on some sort of platform that you're there, they can, I mean, tear you to pieces and just constantly stay after you.
Yeah, in general, bullying is on social media, especially. It is that people will say things on social media they'd never say to someone's
Mm-hmm.
face, right? They'd never say if they had to stand on a stage and say it publicly out loud, they would never say that, right?
That's right.
And I don't know what they think of the difference is about it. I'm not sure why they think it's different, but I am fascinated by people who you know, you see them and they're complete introverts. They don't want to. They're not confrontational. But man, you give them a social media app, and they can say all kinds of things about all kinds of issues, and so it's frankly kind of scary. And I would agree that is a real problem. That we have today. The in general, I think bullying is doing something to someone that you don't believe is going to be retaliated or that they can retaliate. That's how I see it. Whether it's a handicapped person or you're the boss and you're holding their pay or you're on social media, like what can they do about me?
Right.
As a matter of fact, just this morning, I saw an interaction between people here in town, that they are going after one another. I mean,
on social media?
On social media. I'm like, holy cow, let me stay out of this. I'm glad it wasn't a thing when I was younger. And I don't mean just as a teenager, but I mean even as a young adult, because I have a feeling, because even now I find the temptation to want to get involved in things I should just leave alone. For the most part, I do.
Yeah.
But if I'd had that tool when I was way more immature and more likely to want to start a brawl, it would have been awful. I don't know that I would have bullied people. I just like to argue, for the fun of it. And I've never won a friend or convinced a person through some social media post that I made that was confrontational. I have won some people, but not through confrontational posts. I think we have to be careful about that, and we have to understand how all of those actions reflect on Christ.
Amen. That's right.
Well, thank you for joining us today on this edition of One Single Story. We hope you'll be back with us tomorrow as we continue a conversation around the book of Leviticus.